every morning for 4 years. I had no idea. That sound, that knock. Most people hear it and assume it'll go away. It doesn't go away. That's the sound of your engine eating itself. I heard it on a Tuesday morning. By Friday, my car was on a lift and a mechanic was showing me photos of my engine's bearing surfaces. Scored, heat damaged, worn in ways that should take 400,000 kilometers. Mine had 94,000. He said, "Yay, you did this, not the car." And then he showed me what I'd been doing every single morning. Something so ordinary I never thought twice about it. And I felt sick. This video is about that thing and the 5 Japanese cold start habits that would have prevented all of it. Before I show you the habits, I need you to understand something. The mechanic told me these habits are not in your owner's manual. They are not taught in Western driving schools. And the reason for that is not an accident. Japanese fleet operators, the ones running taxis and delivery vehicles past 800,000 kilometers on original unbuilt engines, figured this out 60 years ago, and they kept it internal because it was competitive advantage. I'm going to show you all 5, least to most critical. Number 1 is the habit my mechanic says is the single biggest reason engines die before 150,000 miles. And it's the thing I was doing wrong every single morning for 4 years. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will never start your car the same way again. Step 5, don't touch the accelerator for the first 30 seconds, not once. The moment you turn the key, your engine goes from 0 oil pressure to full operating pressure in about 3 to 5 seconds. During those seconds, there is no oil film between your moving metal parts, none. The oil is cold, thick, and hasn't reached the surfaces that need it yet. If you touch the accelerator in that window, even gently, you're running those surfaces dry under load. The damage is microscopic. You will not hear it. You will not feel it. But it is happening, and it cannot be undone. Japanese taxi drivers are trained to sit with the car at idle, hands off, foot off, for a minimum of 30 seconds on every cold start. Not because they enjoy waiting, because the mechanics who service 800,000 kilometer engines told them what happens when you don't. 30 seconds costs you nothing. What happens inside your engine if you skip it costs you everything. Step 4, listen to your cold start idle, in silence, every single time. Your engine has a language. Most Western drivers never learn it because they immediately drown it out with music, podcasts, or phone calls. A healthy cold start idle has a sequence. Slightly rough in the first 10 seconds, then smooth as oil pressure builds. If it doesn't follow that sequence, something is changing inside your engine right now, today, before it becomes a repair bill. The fleet operator in Osaka, 34 vehicles, oldest at 820,000 kilometers, requires his drivers to log cold start sounds in a notebook. Same way they log mileage. He calls it passive diagnostics. He says it has caught more failures early, before they became catastrophic, than every scheduled service interval combined. 30 seconds of silence every morning. That's the whole habit. Turn the radio off, listen. Because the difference between a 180-pound lifter replacement and a 3,400-pound engine rebuild is almost always whether someone heard the sound early and whether they cared enough to act on it. Step 3, don't push the engine until the temperature gauge moves. Even if you're late, I know. You've heard that modern engines don't need to warm up. And you're partially right. You don't need to sit in your driveway for 10 minutes. But there's a difference between no long warm-up needed and it's fine to redline from a cold start. Fleet data from Osaka shows vehicles driven hard before coolant temperature rose, even for the first half mile, had measurably higher cylinder wall and piston ring wear at 200,000 kilometers compared to identical vehicles, driven gently until warm. Same car, same engine, same roads, different behavior in the first 3 minutes, completely different wear profile 200,000 kilometers later. Keep revs under 2,000 until the needle moves. That's the entire instruction. 3 minutes of patience, in exchange for potentially doubling your engine's lifespan. Step 2, check your oil cold. The reading you get after driving is a lie. Stop me if this sounds familiar. You stop for fuel, the engine has been running, you pop the hood and check the oil while you're there. Looks fine. Maybe just under the max line. Good enough. That reading is wrong, and it has been wrong every time you've done it. Hot oil expands. It clings to surfaces. It hasn't fully drained back into the sump yet. A hot dipstick check consistently shows more oil than you actually have. The Osaka fleet mechanic checks oil exclusively on cold starts, before the engine runs, for exactly this reason. Running 1 liter low doesn't sound serious. It isn't. Until you're under load, oil temperature climbs, viscosity drops, and that 1 liter shortfall means the oil film on your bearing surfaces is thinner than it was designed to be. Not thin enough to fail immediately. Thin enough to fail 50,000 kilometers earlier than it should have. Step 1, the thing I was doing. Every morning, for 4 years. I get in the car, I start the engine, and in the first 10 seconds, before the oil has finished circulating, before the bearings have pressure, before anything has warmed up, I turn on the heated seats, the rear demister, the blower on full. I plug my phone into the charger. Every single morning, every single cold start, for 4 years. I had no idea that in a cold engine, every high-draw electrical accessory you switch on tells the ECU to increase idle load. The engine revs slightly. Fuel injection increases. Heat builds in an engine that is not yet ready for it. That additional electrical load in the first 60 seconds of a cold start isn't catastrophic. It's just slightly worse than it should be. Every morning. Until it isn't slightly worse anymore. Until it's a 4,000-pound repair on a car with 94,000 miles on the clock. The Osaka mechanics rule. For the first 60 seconds of a cold start, nothing electrical gets switched on. Nothing. Not the heat, not the fan, not the phone charger. 60 seconds. That's it. That's the entire habit. 60 seconds of doing nothing. And his fleet vehicles run past 800,000 kilometers on original engines. Mine didn't make it to 100,000. When the mechanic showed me the photos, I didn't say anything. I just looked at them. Because everything I was seeing was entirely my fault. And entirely preventable. He closed the folder and said, "The engine doesn't fail. It's failed, slowly, every morning, by the person who drove it. That sound on a clean, healthy cold start is not guaranteed. It's earned by the person behind the wheel every single morning. You just learned how. 5 habits, 0 cost. Not one of them in your owner's manual. If you're watching this in a car you've been starting the same way for years, you now know something most drivers will never know. Not because it's secret, because nobody ever showed them.